It's yet another week filled with Disney Lorcana Azurite Sea spoilers, so we're going to take a look at all of the cards revealed over the last 7 days. Really quick, I want to remind everyone to please like this video and subscribe to the Sorcerer's Hat for more Disney Lorcana content. I post brand new videos every Friday. Alright, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. Okay, so first up is a card that was revealed literally the moment I uploaded last week's spoiler video. This is Heathcliffe, and I believe it says Stoic Butler. He is an inkable 4-cost emerald character card with 3 strength, 3 willpower. He quests for 2, and he has Ward. Nothing too exciting to say about this card. Having Ward is nice, but it doesn't do much. I would probably play this in draft though, just in case. Next is a brand new Hades card. He is an uninkable 6-cost amethyst character card with 3 strength, 4 willpower, and he quests for 3. His ability is every time one of your other characters is banished on an opponent's turn, you gain 2 lore. This is kind of an interesting card. This would go well in some sort of Emerald Amethyst Reckless deck and might pair well with the new Bellwether card. However, I do think some of the things about this card are kind of a trap. For one thing, while Hades does have 3 lore, I don't think you want to be questing with this card unless you're in a very safe situation. If your game plan is to make your opponent banish your other characters so that you can gain lore, you don't really want to exert Hades and make him vulnerable to attack. So while I think this card is sort of interesting, I hesitate to say that it's actually good. Time will tell, but my first impression is that I'm not really convinced it'll see play. In draft maybe, but probably just for the 3 lore. Next up is Simba, Happy-Go-Lucky. He's an inkable 2-cost amber character card with 1 strength, 4 willpower. He quests for 1, and he is a vanilla card. I don't really like this card. Yes, it's a shift target for any future Simba Floodborn cards, but you could also be playing Simba Protective Cub, which is just a much better card all around, so I'm not a fan of this one at all. And next we have another Prince Navin card that's basically just another vanilla. Doesn't really do anything. It's an inkable 2-cost amber character card with 2 strength, 3 willpower, who quests for 1. It has no abilities. I don't think this is great unless we get some kind of Floodborn Navin in the future. I don't think this card will see any play whatsoever. Next is Chief Bogo, Gazelle fan. He's an inkable 4-cost amber character card with 4 strength, 4 willpower, and he quests for 1. His ability is that if you have a character on board named Gazelle, Chief Bogo gains Singer 6. I like the art on this and that it has the Gazelle card art as a poster in the background, but I don't think you'll be running this or Gazelle from Shimmery Skies at all, so I'm not really a big fan of this card. Okay, now for a card that has some potential. This is Goofy, and I believe the translation is Shipwright Expert. He's an inkable 5-cost emerald character card with 1 strength, 4 willpower, and he quests for 3. He has Ward, and when he quests, you can choose a character to gain Ward until the start of your next turn. Ward is just a really strong keyword, and being able to provide Ward to one of your other characters until the start of your next turn is really good. He also quests for 3, which is nice, but like the Hades that we just talked about, I think the 3 lore is a bit of a trap unless you are feeling really, really safe. Nevertheless, I love Goofy. I love the look of this card, and I think it actually has some potential to see some play somewhere. I don't know, maybe in Baja Blast. Next is a new Mickey card. This is Mickey Mouse, Courageous Sailor. He's an inkable 3-cost ruby character card with 2 strength, 4 willpower, and he quests for 1. He has 1 ability, Solid Ground. While this character is at a location, he gains +2 strength. It's understated for its cost and requires a location to be good, but the payoff doesn't really seem to be worth it. I'm not really convinced that this is a good card. I could be proven wrong if a locations deck ever comes to fruition, but right now I just don't see it. Speaking of locations, this is Mystical Tree, Mama Odie's home. It is an inkable 2-cost amethyst location with a move cost of 1 and 7 willpower. It has 2 abilities. The first one is Not Bad. At the start of your turn, you may move 1 damage counter from chosen character here to chosen opposing character, and its second ability, Hard Earned Wisdom. At the start of your turn, if you have a character named Mama Odie here, gain 1 lore. I don't think this is all that great. Yes, it's one of those cards that gets slightly better every time they print a new Mama Odie card, but Moving damage so far hasn't really become a viable option for decks other than putting Bell in Blurple. And even if you built a deck way down the road that was able to fill this with a lot of Mama Odis, you just get one lure. So it doesn't really matter how many of them are sitting at this location. So yeah, not great. I don't think this will see play at all, to be honest. Next up is Dawson. It is an inkable 4-cost Emerald character card with 3 strength, 4 willpower. He quests for 2, and he is a vanilla. It's fine for a vanilla, I guess. I'd play it in draft if I needed more 4-drops, but that's about it. I don't think that this sees really any meaningful play outside of that, unless you're building a kind of Great Mouse Detective theme deck or something. Next is kind of an interesting action card. This is Helping Hand. It is an uninkable 1-cost Sapphire action that reads, chosen character gains support this turn, draw a card. This is some decent Blurple support since that deck needs help with removal and buffing up characters like Madame Mim Fox to take out locations. I don't think you play 4 of these in your deck, but it could be a fairly good tech card for certain decks in the future. I also think that this is a pretty good card in draft to help remove one of your opponent's bombs, so yeah, it's not that bad. Alrighty, next I believe this translates to Very Merry Unbirthday. It is an inkable 1-cost Amethyst song, and it reads, each opponent puts the top 2 cards of their deck into their discard. This is some more support for mill decks. I don't think that this pushes mill over the edge into finally being good and viable, but it does help out a lot. This is one of those cards that might not see play on release, but could become incredibly annoying as the years go by. In draft, I think this card is amazing since you have less cards by default, and you could potentially get rid of some of their strongest cards. So yeah, great draft card, lots of future potential for constructed. Next is Rafiki, Shaman of the Savannah. He's an inkable 1-cost Amethyst character card with 2 strength, 2 willpower, and he quests for 1 lore. He's also a vanilla. Nothing too interesting to say about this. It's the baseline vanilla 1-drop we all know. It's a shift target for the new creepy looking Rafiki Floodborn, and there's not much else to say about it. Next is an alright card, I guess. This is Rabbit, Indignant Pirate. It is an inkable 1-cost Amber character card with 1 strength, 2 willpower, and it quests for 1. They have 1 ability, Be More Careful. When you play this character, you may remove up to 1 damage from chosen character. It's alright, I guess. Only healing 1 is kind of whatever, and you for sure don't want to play this on turn 1, so I don't know. It is a pirate, so there could be something there, but I just don't think it's going to see play almost anywhere. Next is a pretty cool item for pirate decks. This is Pooh Pirate Ship. It is an uninkable 1-cost Amber item card that reads, make a rescue, exert this card and pay 3 ink, return a pirate character card from your discard to your hand. This goes right into a pirate deck alongside the new Jim Hawkins that's coming out this set. And yeah, I think it's pretty good just for that one specific instance, to be honest, even though the ability is really expensive. This card will also be pretty good in draft if you manage to draft a lot of pirate characters. So I like it overall, but I do acknowledge that it's not incredible, but in very specific decks, it will be very good. Next is a new John Silver card. This is an uninkable 4-cost Ruby character card with 2 strength, 4 willpower, and he quests for 2 lore. He has 1 ability, which reads, whenever this character quests, you may deal 1 damage to one of your other characters, then ready chosen character. They can't quest for the rest of the turn. And this once again goes in some kind of damaging your own characters sort of deck, but he's also a pirate and an alien and a captain, so he's got a lot going on. I don't really know if this sees play, but getting to ready a character and have damage ready to either move or heal can be quite potent. I think there's a really cool deck at some point in the future where this card is instrumental. Is that during set 6? Who knows, but we'll just have to wait and see. I do like this card though. This is Scar, Heartless Hunter. He's an uninkable 5-cost Ruby character card with 4 strength, 2 willpower, and he quests for 3 lore. He has 1 ability. If you play this character, choose one of your characters and deal 2 damage to them to deal 2 damage to chosen other character. This is essentially a Teeth and Ambitions with a body, which isn't terrible. The only part I don't like about this card is that it's got very little willpower. My gut reaction is that this won't really see constructed play, Although it could go in a Ruby, Amber, Mufasa deck and be pretty good. You could actually swap out Teeth and Ambitions and play this instead. But other than that, I don't know. This could go in the damage deck, but other than that, I don't see a place for this. But in draft, this could be a really awesome card. Next is Gold Coin. This is an inkable 1-cost Ruby item card with 1 ability, which says, exert and pay 1 ink, banish this item, ready chosen character of yours, they cannot quest this turn. I like this item. It reminds me of Vitalisphere, which is another item that I like and does see play in some Ruby Sapphire item-based decks. This is obviously a more expendable version of Shield of Virtue, which is good, but can be kind of expensive in the long run. In those Ruby Sapphire item decks, you tend to run the Queen Diviner and try to play cheap items off the top of your deck. This is essentially a buff to that, since you can ready her and use her ability again to try and dig for another item cheap. So yeah, I actually like this card a lot. I think this will see some play in a lot of places, and it's definitely amazing in draft. Next is a new Mickey Mouse card that I could not find the translation for the subtitle for. It is an inkable 3-cost steel character card with 2 strength, 3 willpower, and he quests for 2. He has 1 ability, which reads, characters named Pluto get resist 1. It's not terrible stat-wise, but the ability kind of does nothing for me at the moment. In draft, I would take this just for the stats, but I doubt that this will see any constructed play next set. Maybe in the future when there's some amazing Pluto card, you know, other than the one Pluto that gets played in aggro, but I don't know. I'm not convinced this will see constructed play. Next is a card that looks okay on the surface, but is actually really good for the meta in a very specific way right now. This is Basil, Hypnotized Mouse. He is an inkable 3-cost emerald character card with 3 strength, 2 willpower, and he quests for 1, and he has evasive. He is essentially the power-crept version of Sir Hiss. The reason that I think this card is so good is that it's a fairly good answer for Diablo. It can even answer Diablo if he's in Hidden Cove, which is also why people played Sir Hiss. But this has 1 extra willpower, so it's just kind of automatically better than Sir Hiss, even though it still won't survive a Let the Storm Rage On or anything. But honestly, take the extra willpower, because why not? I actually think if Emerald Steel is still around next set, which, let's be honest, it probably will, this card basically replaces Sir Hiss as the anti-Diablo tech card. I like it. It's a good card. Next up is Mama Odie. She is an uninkable 5-cost amethyst character card with 4 strength and 5 willpower. She quests for 1 and has 1 ability called I Have to Do Everything Here. Every time you play a song, you may move up to 2 damage counters from a character of your choice to an opposing character of your choice. I don't really like this card. It doesn't have much going for it besides synergy with other versions of Mama Odie. You can do a combo using this to sing something like Teeth and Ambitions, which would just let you move any of the damage off of her, making Teeth do twice the damage. And then you'd have to take none of it because you just move the damage off of yourself. So that could be kind of cool, but is it worth putting a 5-drop uninkable in your deck just to do that? I don't think it is. Next is a very iconic song from Winnie the Pooh, and it's Heffalumps and Woozles. This is an inkable 2-cost emerald song that reads, chosen opposing character can't quest during their next turn, draw a card. I think this is a pretty awesome draft card that replaces itself and can slow down your opponent's bomb, which is nice. Whether this sees play in Constructed, I'm not totally sure, but I don't think it's a bad card by any means. I could see this being viable in some kind of deck in the future, even if it ends up just being a tech card. Next is our first Floodborn Nick Wilde. And I'm not gonna lie, the first time I saw this art, I actually kind of laughed. Not because it's bad, it's just the look on his face is hilarious. He is an inkable 3-cost Sapphire character card with 1 strength, 3 willpower, and he quests for 1 lore. He can shift for 1, which is very interesting, and he has 1 ability. You can't touch me. While you have an item, this character cannot be challenged. This for sure goes into an items deck. It's already cheap and inkable though, so I don't know if you're really gonna want or even need to shift this, but I can see a world where this is actually pretty useful. I think this could be fairly good, but I just don't really know where this goes in an item deck. Like, what am I gonna take out to even fit this in? I could be wrong though, because this could be a silent killer. in a Sapphire deck. Next is Jumbo Pop. This is an uninkable 3-cost Sapphire item that reads, banish this item, remove up to 2 damage from each of your characters, draw a card. So yes, you can heal a bunch of characters with this, but I think this is worse than Popsicle. It's so much more expensive and it's uninkable, and it kind of does the same thing. And yes, I know you can heal a bunch, but when are you even really popping popsicles to heal? You're only really doing that in such desperate times. Most of the time you're using Hiram to pop them so you can draw cards. So I'm not really a big fan of this card at all. I would just stick to popsicles. And lastly, we've got some new Treasure Planet cards. This is Billy Bones, Space Sailor. He's an inkable 3-cost steel character card with 2 strength, 2 willpower, and he quests for 2. He has 1 ability, Keep It Hidden. When this character is banished, you may banish chosen item or location. I don't hate this card, but I do think it's very flawed. On one hand, you can play this character and threaten your opponent against playing items in general, since you can remove them. But at the same time, if your opponent doesn't have items on board, then this character does literally nothing. It also doesn't help to get rid of cards like Lucky Dime, since a good Sapphire player will wait until they can get the benefit of Dime before even playing it. And by that point, they've probably won, because they're going to Dime and use it on Tomato or something and just win the game. Questing for 2 is nice, and yes, he does get rid of locations. But I think that if this character had something like Rush, it might be a lot better, since you could rush this into something low level, try to remove it, and get rid of one of your opponent's locations at the same time. And honestly, now that I say that, that might be a little too strong, but nevertheless, I'm not convinced that this card is that good, but it could be alright. I'll leave it at that. And right as I'm recording the VO for this video, we got one last bonus card, so I'm just gonna do this right off the cuff, unscripted. So this is an inkable 1-cost Sapphire action card called Prepare Your Bot. It reads, choose one. You can either ready chosen item or ready chosen robot character. They can't quest for the rest of this turn. Wow, I actually think this card is kind of nuts, because you could, if you had enough ink, you could play Dime, use Dime, play this, use Dime again, something like that. This is pretty good, and it will definitely go in like a robot deck if somebody figures that out at some point in the future. But I don't hate this. I think this is really good. If it was uninkable, I think I would not like it as much, but the inkability and being able to fit this in either just a normal Sapphire deck or a robot deck makes this really good. I'm a big fan of that. So that was all of the cards revealed in the last week. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like and subscribe to the Sorcerer's Hat for more Lorcana videos. I post a new one every single Friday. Thanks again for watching. I hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye. Love you.